grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, and God evening to all. My name is Justin B., and I'm a son of an all-powerful and all-loving God and a qualifying addict of multiple fellowships, living in the miracle of recovery. And I'm here with the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my co-host, Nikki M. Nikki, please take a minute and say hi and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm a grateful member. That's what I am. I've made a decision today to show up as a member of really, there's only one anonymous, and it's Alcoholics Anonymous, and everyone's welcome here. And I have a seat at this table, and my big book will solve all my problems. So I'm just excited to be here and just to be in the solution with you, Justin. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. And I'm excited to dive into some things with you today as we record. But real quick, to those of you out here who this may be your first exposure to Noodle It Out with Nikki or to Rico 12, we invite you to check out all the other resources that we have here. Noodle It Out with Nikki is an amazing resource. We also have the Big Book Roundtable, the Rico 12 weekly speaker meeting, and we just have communities and everything that we strive to. Well, it's open to anyone and everyone. As Nikki said, there's one anonymous, and we don't say, hey, that's an outside issue here, because all issues are issues in in the world. And that's kind of what Noodle It Out with Nikki is. We bring questions, comments, struggles, trials, issues to the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous as Nikki runs us through them. And we try and find that solution and try to work the solution in our lives. So everybody grab your big book, a pencil, a paper, highlighter, whatever it is you need to get ready to go around through the big book and find solutions to things. Today, Nikki, we're going to be going in a slightly different direction, I think. I mean, it's still the same thing, but you have mentioned a few times in your meetings in different places and things that you and I have spoken about and on Big Book Roundtable that you've been going through certain trials and low spots here recently, a really dark period of time. So what we'd like to do today is kind of noodle that out with you, share a little bit of the things you're learning, the growth that's happening, the changes that are the higher power is bringing into your life. And let's go through that. So it's a little bit more of a personal type thing, but I think it can be applicable to anybody. So Nikki, why don't you take a minute and explain kind of where you've been and where things are going?
Okay, thank you, Justin. And this is what this is about. This is why we have this podcast is because long story short, I sponsor a lot and I couldn't reach everybody like an hour here, an hour there with everybody. That's why we have one meeting where I can get to everybody. So what's happened is I've been in the rooms for 12 years and 9 months. I came in Valentine's Day into an Al-Anon room, crying hysterical and just a hot mess. And actually, it's funny, we came off the Noodle meeting today and my friend Tom, he was the very first person I saw in a meeting and he's there on the Noodle meeting playing his guitar every Monday morning. And he's not a morning person. 12 years I've known him. But what does that look like? Well, you said it. The book says, if an alcoholic, and I'm a woman who suffers from the disease of alcoholism. I'm not a real alcoholic, but I have the real disease of alcoholism, like my friend Justin B., who's never even had a drink. So I definitely qualify to be here. And it says on page 1314, 1415, if I fail to perfect and enlarge my spiritual life, see, I'm here for a spiritual life through work. I have to work every day because page 85 tells me I have a daily reprieve and self-sacrifice. self-sacrifice for others. I'm not going to survive so there's certain trials and low spots coming for me. And yes, we are in today's December 9th, 2024. The world is upside down. Now, I'm not to indulge, says page 132 of the big book. It says, do not indulge in the cynicism over the state of the nations. I'm not to look at the world issues. But the reality of it is, things are a real hot mess right now, Justin. It's just an energy and a fact of life that we're going through some changes in the world. And we're going to look back, and I can guarantee, I hope someone's playing this in 2040. This is the most exciting time to be alive. I'm sure every generation says that. Maybe your grandparents, my grandparents, Justin, this is a very exciting time. So there's a certain trial and low spot I'm in. I mean, I've been in ups and downs. Year 4, I was going to kill myself and kill my lover. So I've cruised along for almost 8 years here. Pretty good. Like, I'm getting miracles. Fellowships are being born that I crave. God is literally doing for me what I cannot do for myself. But I'm in a low spot. What does that mean? There's trials and low spots. And I was here the other day, page 8. It says, how dark it is before the dawn. I woke up. One lesson I want to tell everybody is the book is very much about mindfulness, staying present now. I was to get on my meeting every Monday. I don't take calls before the Noodle with Nikki meeting. I wake up, I get very God-centered and prayerful so I can transmit something on a meeting with 150 people on Monday. I looked at my phone. Normally it's safe to do that. This was last Monday, I looked at my phone and I had a message that no one ever wants to get. It's just the nightmare that you just never want to receive, the certain trial and low spot. And I had to get on this meeting and I was literally, Justin, blacked out. And the last week, it has been so dark before the dawn. Now I'm here a week later and the dawn is here. Like, I'm in light. That message I got last week was an opportunity, page 133. It was an opportunity to cheerfully capitalize on God's omnipotence. It was literally a page 117, a test. Page 117, let me roll there. It was a test. It says the faith and sincerity of both you and, well, I don't have a husband. So my friend Justin, my fellowship, everybody put to the test. These workouts, see, they were regarded as part of my education. I have been stripped. Last Monday on my Noodle meeting, I cried. And then here, if you're listening and you're one of my friends, if I'm ever like that on my Noodle meeting, please tell me that there is a camera off button. I had that ugly face, the tears, crying, snot. I think it was coming out of my nose. I was blacked out. I literally had to do I even show up for the meeting? I had to show up, right? This is what we do. You get the news, you got to suit up and show up. You can't just we're not going to show up. We're just going to stop doing this. No, especially you and me, Justin, this is a lifestyle. You can't just, I'm sure you can, but you're just not going to come to Rico 12. There's a lot of us who rely on you now. Am I just not going to show up for Noodle when 150 people plus are out there every Monday? You know, what started out as a meeting for me and my little sponsees. So I have to show up, and this is part of my education. I'm learning to live. And then I cried on the meeting, and that ugly cry, and I was like, I can't do this life anymore. It's too much. I don't want to be here. I don't want all the responsibilities. This week, my in-person meeting I was removed from, I'm having an issue with a girl in there. She's a newcomer. I started the meeting, actually. God started the meeting for her with my help, gave her the script, everything. But all of a sudden, now that she's angry at me, I don't know what I'm doing, Justin. And she said I was supposed to chair tonight. I'm not welcome to chair, she says, because I'm in an emotional relapse, is what she tells me. Well, turn to page 67. This is what I did. She goes, you're in an emotional relapse. I said, no, I'm actually on page 67. We avoid retaliation or argument. I retaliated and I argued and I treat sick people awful and I destroyed my chance of being helpful. So God did for me what I could not do for myself. I don't need to go to that meeting anymore. I didn't need it in the first place. My book actually says on page 159, you're to have one meeting a week to be attended by anyone and everyone looking for a spiritual way of life. So God did for me in that moment. And my commitments keep falling. What does it look like too? Justin, I haven't been to church in 3 weeks. Not because I'm mad, not because I'm angry at them. I'm going through changes. What worked for me for a while is now not working anymore. My volunteering, God, I lost my job in COVID. We met during COVID. I had to volunteer every Saturday, not had to, wanted to. I had to. I would have died if I didn't. I had no rights. I lost my job. Even volunteering now. I mean, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do it every Saturday anymore. See, I needed this upheaval. I needed some type of, it talks about again, here it is, page 28, Justin. I've been cruising along I came in 12 years ago. Year 4, I wasn't even in the book. I was dying in the rooms. Cameron F. took me through the steps. I've not stopped for 8 years. And I need a big change right now. It's not working anymore. My big book is remember, I'm beyond human aid. So I don't need a doctor. My big book's a working part of my mind. I need a complete change. And this is what's happening now. So what I was doing for 8 years isn't working anymore. Does that make sense? Come in here and talk to me about what I've just told you, because these are the things that are happening to me right now. And a week later, I'm literally on fire again, and nothing has changed. It's my mindset, my thinking, my belief system, my new attitude.
Yeah. So thank you for walking through this, Nikki. I mean, there's a lot there that you went through. One of the things that jumped out at me is the first place you took us to, pages 14 and 15. And I just want to kind of do a David G here on this. For if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice, and what David G does there is he changes the words around there with that sacrifice of self. I've got to take the self, the entity that is, the director, the entity that's trying to run the show, and sacrifice that self, put it on the altar and put the knife through it, and or I cannot survive the certain trials and low spots ahead, because if I'm relying on self to get me through, what do we learn? And you're going to have to do the pages here, Nikki, but self-will was good as far as it went, right? But it doesn't go far enough to bridge us over to, I know about where it's in the 60s in the big book, but in order to take that last step from bridge to shore, I've got to get rid of that self. And Nikki, you're kind of talking about this as once again, self has kind of come up. I mean, you were dying in self-will 8 years ago, or 4 years into your recovery. You had an awakening there, and then you're doing this. And I also have this daily battle with self of, hey, I want to do this the way that I think is best, and not let higher power, not let that power greater than self guide me through it. Any feedback or thoughts on what I just shared with you there, Nikki?
Well, so many. And yeah, I can't even think of the page. Self-reliance was good. It didn't go far enough. But I know it also says on page, I think it's 60 or 61, it says, any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Any life, not just mine. It's the whole entire world run on self. So there's a book in Al-Anon. It's called When I Got Busy, I Got Better. And I like to call it, when I got busy, I call bullshit. And recently, that's what I realized I've been doing too. Because remember, it says on page 25, we're blotting out the consciousness of our existence. Now, whatever it may be, it was for me money and men. And when I was 18, it was crystal meth and, whatever, all those good stuff. And then as you get older, then it's food, as you go through your addictions, it's, during COVID, it was the scrolling of the doom scrolling of how they're going to, take all my rights away. I'm blotting it out. So when I get busy and I'm running around just blotting it out, I'm not doing this on page 13. Roll it back one page, Justin. And it says 1, 2, 3, the fourth paragraph down where it says, I'm not doing this enough. I'm busy. I'm sponsoring. I'm in service. My life is purposeful because I serve everyone, but I'm not doing this. I'm not sitting quietly when in doubt and asking only. I'm calling somebody. I'm getting busy. I'm thinking of, because it says we are to, on page 159, we are to constantly be thinking, let me just read it because I want to come back to page 13, constantly thinking of how they might present their discovery to some newcomer. And I'm constantly thinking of that, like you and I are. I mean, we've got so many projects going. You've got a million going. I do too. But I'm never just sitting quietly. And then remember, in the spirit world, there is no time. So I'm still, and I can't see it because it takes two to see one. I can't differentiate the doctor's opinion, the true from the false doctor's opinion. My addict life is my only normal one. I've been programmed. Hi, I'm Nikki. How, you will meet you. Hi, I'm Justin. What do you do? Like, that's what people ask. What do you do? I mean, we're all like, what do you do? Who are you? Oh, you're a doctor. Okay, I can talk to you. Oh, wait, you're a bum. You just sit and stare at, like, I'll never forget when, I met Mr. Luxembourg. He's retired. When I met him, I mean, he's 13 years younger than me. I'm 51. Do the math. He was retired when I met him. Be 6 years I know him in January. And he would just sit. And I would be like, you have no purpose. What are you doing? That's not a life. You're not helping anybody. And now 6 years later, I'm realizing, wow, I know nothing. I'm watching this guy that God sent to me going, he had it right. He just sits quietly in God thought. But we've been so programmed to run around, right? Like it says, we aren't burning up energy foolishly, trying to arrange life. I'm trying to arrange life to suit my needs. I'm like, you want a meeting? Okay, I'll start one for you. I know how to do that. And it's all backfired. Me giving to people more than I'm giving to God. I'm giving, and we talked about this lately, Justin. I do step 12, sponsoring like nobody, but I don't practice these principles in all my affairs. See, there's 3 parts. Let's read the parts to step 12. There's 3 parts here on step 12. It says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. Yes, I have to have a spiritual awakening every day as a result of working all of these steps all day long, every day, all day. Then it says we tried. So we carry, because we don't try, Yoda, we do or do not. We carry this message to alcoholics, addicts. Okay, that's part 2. Here's part 3. And to practice these principles in all our affairs. I don't do that. I practice these principles with the newcomer, page 19, in our affairs, page 19, in our occupations. That's the job. Number 1, it says in our respective homes. I don't do that. My son was over last night and he was, I said, he says, what's wrong? And I said, I'm realizing I've been so hard on you. And so hard on the man I love. Like, it's just, I'm nice to everybody but you and him. Like, these are the realities I'm seeing, and I can't see it when I'm in it. So, I mean, I'm kind of all over the place with these thoughts again, but back to page 13. I'm not sitting quietly. I'm not thinking and testing my thoughts with my new God. That takes time. That takes the pause. That takes the relax. We do not struggle. This is deep shit. You understand? Because I come in here and I'm going to sponsor and I'm going to meeting and I'm going to do this and I'm going to serve my mom and I'm going to be at Auntie's even I'm going to go deep here. Even I'm losing the lust for Auntie every Tuesday. It's becoming a chore. Service is now becoming. So I'm realizing, Nikki, you need to sit and be. This is go deep, everybody. This is a spirit world. Do you think spirits are just running around like chickens with their head cut off with to-do lists? How about a be list? Be kind. Be gentle. Come in here.
Yeah. So, Nikki, I've shared this before, and maybe in Noodle, I can't remember if I've shared it on this podcast, but I've shared it in several places. A couple of years back, I had a day that when I woke up and I looked at my day ahead, the day ahead, I was like, there is zero chance that I'm going to be able to do this. And in my morning guidance, my quiet time with God, I felt directed to pause every single hour and give God 5 minutes of that hour. And I was like, there is no way I can't do this. And the thought was, just do it. And I did. And I finished everything by like 3:30 that day and had an hour and a half at the end of the day. God did for me what was absolutely impossible to be done. Now I want to go back to this a little bit more, because just in the last week, you mentioned that I have a million things going on, and I do. I look at my schedule this week. I'm looking at it right now. It is packed. And I think this is what it's going to look like moving forward for the foreseeable future. And what did God tell me to do this last week? God said, Justin, set a timer for every hour and give me 3 to 5 minutes every hour of every day, not just of today, of every day, and pause and be quiet, and then say, okay, God, at the end of that, say, okay, God, whatever's ahead this hour, it's yours. You make it happen. And if I'm the one trying to push through it using my own self-reliance, my own willpower, my own scheduling ability or inability, holy crap, I suck at scheduling. But anyways, that's the only way I'm going to be able to make it through these busy but really rewarding times, is if I let God direct and not try and force myself into that. Any other thoughts on that, Nikki?
So many, like, I want to be your personal assistant. See, there's the Al-Anon in me. It's like, get your wife on the phone. I need to get out there and like, see, I used to be a personal assistant. So I get it. But other than those thoughts about how, I heard one thought, and it was on page 49. And it says this: we who have traveled this dubious path, they're begging us every day to lay aside prejudice, even against organized religion, against your beliefs of what this life should look like, right? And go down further, because it says, people of faith, and I think we talked about it on our last roundtable, and I can't remember what we said, but you, me, and David, we talked about, like, what is faith? It's courage. It's just courage. And so we have this courage and this idea about what is life all about. And we know this. You're living long enough. You and I aren't little. You have a grandson. And you just came back from Thanksgiving and the holiday. The life isn't about your to-do list. It's about when that little monkey man runs across and does whatever he does. Everybody, I've seen a picture of this grandbaby, perfect little baby, like a blessing, like that. You see, it's like we used to amuse ourselves by cynically dissecting spiritual beliefs and practices and all these things, but now we see what happiness and usefulness is. It's literally sitting quietly with God every hour on the hour for that 5 minutes. It's me this last week, really sitting alone. People are like, you're isolated. I'm like, no, I'm in solitude. See, I'm not isolating, Justin. I'm in solitude, because we talked about it too. Page 63, meet God. And then it says alone sometimes, and then go deeper on page 29. So what is this all about? This is all about a relationship with God. And that's what this is about. So I'm excited, everybody. Last week, wow, that loneliness that, what they talk about. I mean, I was like, this is my life. I can't do this anymore. I wasn't happy. Page 152. I was not happy about my sobriety, about this way of living. And no, I didn't want to go out and it's just the jumping off place. Where do I go from here? But I'm so in this program, in this lifestyle, and with God, that I knew exactly where to go. I knew to sit quietly and test my thinking. That, man, when I look back, Justin, the miracles that we witness here, just you and I in the last few years, my friend, It's endless. And there's so much more. We're going to God with a huge dump truck, not a thimble. We want more and more of this God dope. And so I'm just going to sit and be grateful. Like, I'm just so grateful. Thank you. 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 Thank you.
And thank you, Nikki. And I'm going to close out with just one more thought here as we close this down. You know, the passage, and once again, page number is not in my head. What God would have us be. We ask what God would have us be. And being, yes, there is action in being, because if I'm not getting up and doing something, I'm not getting into action, as this is a program of action. But that doesn't mean that I have to do everything, because I can't. You can't do everything. Nikki, as capable as you are, you can't do everything, but you can be what God wants you to be. The old army thing, be all that you can be, and doesn't say do all you can do. It says be all you can be. And anyways, everybody out there, this is a program of action, but it is a program of being. It is something that helps us in times of trial and low spots. And I'm butchering everything here, but it's so meaningful. It's a part of my life, even though the words don't come out perfectly. Everybody keep coming back. It works when I work it. So work it. You are worth it.